Cash or card? A question we've heard a lot in the past. Nowadays we use plastic or our phone to pay. With the rise of online, the industry has changed. What makes online payments the smarter way of paying? And how do we feel about that? Welcome to Never Check Out. We welcome Henriette Woolridge in our studio. Henriette is the Vertical Manager Hospitality at Adyen. Henriette, what is your passion in life?
I think travel is a big one. Traveling the world, discovering new cultures. Yeah, I'd say that's my number one passion.
You're all over the place.
I try to be, yeah.
Okay. Well, that helps if you can pay everywhere, right?
Yeah, certainly payment is a big part of the travel experience, and especially when you go to different countries and they don't accept Visa, well, yeah, you've got to handle that.
I always have an issue with my Amex. It's never accepted anywhere.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so can you tell me a bit about Adyen and what's so special about it?
Adyen is a global payments company. We also have a banking license, acquiring license. We do payments from all sorts of industries. So we do work in hospitality, but we work with some of the big players in the industry, such as Netflix, Spotify, Uber, so e-com, but also in-person payments. So a lot of shops, retailers such as Nike, big brands like that. And then we're focusing a lot on hospitality, which we'll talk about a bit later, I think.
Okay. You say in-person.
In-person payments, or you may hear me saying IPP, it means the same thing.
Okay.
That means where we actually take a payment on a physical terminal. So either with a credit card, which is a traditional, but as we'll talk about, there are new ways of taking payments on terminals as well.
Okay, so the old-fashioned terminals where we can put our phone on or the
exactly,
card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or with a QR code, which happens more and more as well now.
Okay, well, we hear you all over the news about online payments and everything, but this is traditional. Well, nowadays it's traditional, I guess, right?
Online payments?
No, I mean the in-person payments.
Yeah, it is a more traditional way of doing payments. I think what's important is not to look at one online and in person. I think you need to see the bigger picture. And we talk about unified commerce a lot at Adyen. Unified commerce is mixing that online experience to the in-person experience and making that experience the same whether you're doing it online or in person. And also making the same technology available in both scenarios. Really important in hospitality because obviously the reservation can be online, but then you actually arrive at the hotel and you may need to pay some additional fees at the hotel, such as F&B or whatever it can be. So your hotels need to have those solutions where you can have this whole unified commerce offering.
So the full journey is supported by your system?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and you're connected to PMS system, reservation systems?
Indeed, PMS, channel manager, booking engines, even some accounting solutions in the background as well, yeah.
So if you're attached to booking.com as well then?
We have connections with booking.com indeed. Yeah.
All right. So you have one experience. I just found out from your colleague that it works all over the world and it's the same experience everywhere. Yeah. So we don't need local payment vendors or providers.
Exactly.
So we have the same percentage that we need to pay for it as well, all over all the countries and.
Yeah, so the fees that Adyen charge, indeed, we would charge potentially the same in all the countries. That what will change, and this is something that is slightly outside of our control, is what we call interchange fee or scheme fee. They are fees that issuing banks, so the cardholders' banks, they apply these fees, and they can be more expensive if we're doing cross-border transactions. So that means if with my Dutch credit card, I'm spending money in the US, that transaction will be more expensive than if I was spending money in the Netherlands.
And is that the same with all the providers, or?
Yeah, that's scheme fees. So it's applied by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Diners, all of those guys.
Okay, got it. So how did you guys change the experience? Is there something really, really special about Adyen?
I think we have a philosophy which is one platform. So first of all, we do build everything in-house and we have one platform. And this is why I bring up the unified commerce experience, because that one platform serves the online transactions in the same way as the in-person payment transactions, meaning that everything is related, everything is connected. So the data that you will get from the online transactions, you can get them and mix them with the in-person payment transactions.
Okay.
So it's this one kind of holistic platform that serves all these different payments.
Okay. What can we learn from all this data?
Yeah, I mean, data is a big deal, right? I will say before we start talking about it, security is absolutely massive in data. Yeah. We have to be extremely careful what we share. We do encrypt a lot of the data.
Because of GDPR or because
not
of
just
PCI?
that is part of it, but payment data, right? Adyen has access to card numbers, and breaches happen. In hospitality, we've seen quite a lot of data breaches.
True.
Luckily, Adyen is not the case because we do take security extremely seriously. But yeah, there is a certain number of data points that you can get. You can see if the guests are recurring guests, for example, or if they're a new guest. You can see where they come from because you can know where the card has been issued.
Yep.
And I think if you aggregate payment data along with other sources such as the PMS, the in-person pay, the booking engine, for example, you can really create some nice insights about your guest. I think what I see personally is hotels and the industry is getting better at collecting that data. I think there's still a bit of a problem about interpreting what it means and then injecting it back into all the various solutions like the PMS. I mean, there's no point in knowing if Mr. Smith keeps coming back to the same hotel if the front desk, the commercial and marketing teams don't treat him like a recurring guest, right? You have to know that Mr. Smith has been to the hotel several times. And I feel that last part is still lacking a little bit in our industry.
You're not afraid about privacy then? I mean, you're traveling all over the world. It's your passion you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So you pay everywhere with your card or your phone. So people are able to track you.
Indeed, I think that's a conscious decision, I think. And yeah, in our world, we have to be aware of what the risks are when we're using our phone, our credit card all over the place.
Should we care, or is it? I
think we should care. I think we should all care as a customer, but I think we should care if we're as a merchant, as a hotel. We all are responsible for protecting our data.
Yeah. Do you think about that? I mean, when I rent a car in, I don't know, in Spain or anything, they just run my passport, my driver's license, my credit card under the same copier. Then I'm a bit worried. But if I don't agree, then I can't take the car. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Will you guys fix that in the future?
I think there's certain things you need to take into consideration. When we talk about card data, there are various solutions such as tokenization, right? It's the most basic one. Tokenization means swapping the credit card number for what we call a token. It's basically encrypting it. So payment companies such as Adyen store that data, but when we provide the token back to our merchants, they don't have the real card number, right? So they only see an encrypted token. You can do this by normal tokenization. What we see in hospitality as well is what we call proxy tokenization, where we come between two intermediaries. So we would sit between the channel manager would send us the credit card data, we would tokenize that and then send a token down to the PMS, meaning that the PMS will only ever see an encrypted token. So full security for...
That token can only be used for the period that the guest is staying there, or will it be valid forever?
In theory, it could be valid forever, but there's a lot of restrictions around that indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So talk about data and PMS, so the reservation systems.
Yeah.
I guess everything is nowadays connected through APIs, or do we still have those local interface machines?
I hope not. I think API is definitely, it is definitely the most recurring.
Are you able to connect to local old-fashioned PMS systems?
That's a good question. To be honest, I'm not sure. We try not to, let's say.
Yeah, I can imagine that the world is changing. So
we want to be a future-focused, and I think we are also trying to make or trying to help hospitality drive forward a little bit. I think, and that's part of it. Yeah.
But to the most common PMSs, the online PMSs like Muse and
Oracle, Opera is still a massive one as well,
okay.
And they're also moving into the cloud. And we do see that trend where more and more PMSs are having a cloud version, which does make it easier on hotels, right? You don't need any local servers, so that's definitely something that we see a lot. Yeah.
So what about PCI compliancy then? I mean, always such a headache for IT companies because you have to comply to all these PCI SAQD forms and everything. Is it off the table?
Oh gosh, no, in hospitality it's a massive deal and it should be. I think, so PCI compliance definition, what does it mean? It means payment card industry, and then DSS means data security standards. So it is a standard that the card schemes, Visa, American Express, MasterCard, they have put these standards in place to protect credit card data during the transaction. It's about trust as well. If I was calling a hotel to make a reservation, nowadays I really wouldn't give my credit card over the phone. And personal story, but I used to work in hotels, and I do remember that, when you get that phone call, someone would give you the credit card number. I would jot it down on a notepad. This is terrible, by the way. And I might kind of stay on that notepad for a while. That happens a lot in hospitality, and I think we need to work together to change it.
Yeah, I remember it was when you had the first reservation systems, it was all in clear text in the database. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But nowadays there's a lot of regulations around it, a lot of misusage as well.
Yeah.
Do you fix a part of that? Will it be easier to be PCI compliant, or will it still stay the same that you have to do your security stuff there or not?
I think companies like Adyen can help for sure, but one of the examples would be using a tokenization solution where all the data is encrypted. But I also I think it's very important that hotels take control of this. If I was a hotel, I would map out my credit card data flow. So I would try and understand where am I seeing credit card data and which channels is it coming into.
Right.
You have responsibility as a merchant to actually look after that data correctly. And I think that hospitality really needs to, the ecosystem, so all the different intermediaries, including the payment provider, we need to take responsibility and help hotels kind of work on PCI compliance.
Yeah, staff is changing rapidly at the moment in hotels. It's quite a nightmare to get staff. There's a lot of foreigners, there's language barriers, a lot of issues there. I remember that the credit cards came in by fax. I think that's done now, right? You're not obliged to use tokenized, but I think it's becoming to be the common standard, right?
Yeah, definitely tokenization is becoming more regular. I have seen some examples of fax indeed, but I think now there's more regulations where you can't send in clear a credit card number by fax. I hope so, at least, because that's not very reassuring.
Okay, talking about integrations, we had Jeroen in the studio as well.
Yeah.
Talking about ThinkCard and plastics, but also the wallet key.
Yes.
Anything that you can combine on those systems or other systems, or are there any commercial solutions besides just handling the payments?
Yeah, indeed, nice example. So indeed, we were actually working with Assa Abloy now to come up with a solution where on Adyen terminals are capable of read and writing keycards. Okay. So they use what we call NFC technology. And this is the same technology that Assa Abloy uses in their locks in some cases to open the door.
Right.
So we can actually encode a keycard on an Adyen terminal to open the door, which kind of reduces a lot of the need to carry around separate, separate keys, or it's a part of this unified journey as well. I think front desk, they don't want all this different hardware on the desk, and it's just showing. I think it's showcasing what the power of Adyen's terminals as well. No.
Okay. Do you think it's a lot of? I mean, normally you walk in the hotel, you go to the reception desk, you have a chat or have a champagne or a coffee or whatever, You have the personal touch there.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we look at the key card systems. You have your wallet key. You can pay online. You don't have to go to reception desk. Your personal opinion? Do you think that will influence the hospitality?
I think it's all about customer experience, and maybe it's good to define what customer experience is. Right? You gave a couple of examples of having a glass of champagne. Well, personally, when I'm on a business travel trip, I don't really want to have a chat with front desk. I don't want to be rude, but I prefer to use an app to check in and go directly to my room, maybe have my room key on my phone directly.
Right.
However, when I'm traveling for leisure, I would like that glass of champagne. And I think hotels need to question what is that experience that we want to give. We talk a lot about low touch and high touch. And I think finding the balance between the two is really key to providing that customer experience. Payments is the same, right? You need to be able to have that experience where you can put your card on a terminal for maybe some populations that don't want to pay online,
right.
But you also need to offer the online experience as well.
Absolutely. And are you involved within the guest journey? Do hotels already ask you, like, okay, can you help us with the journey?
Oh, completely. I think there's a lot of elements that we can facilitate, and we talk about local payment methods. Well, in the Netherlands, which I discovered when I moved here, not many Dutch people have credit cards.
No.
Or we use Ideal, right, in the Netherlands. If you are a Dutch person traveling abroad, it would be really cool if you could use Ideal to book your hotel in the US, for example. Yep. And I think that's part of the guest experience, right? It's the hotel saying, I have Dutch guests, and I want to make their experience personal and kind of more relative to them. So yeah, I think payments is really important in that journey.
That's something you can do as Adyen. Yeah. And the other way around as well.
Yes, and I think it's essential. Like that's one of the big advantages of working with a global solution that offers unified commerce. All these local payment methods are available in our system, and for us, it's the same if you're paying with Ideal or if you're paying with Alipay or WeChat Pay if you're a Chinese guest.
Do you know the percentage of hotels you already are offering in the Netherlands?
Ooh, good question. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't know, but I do know we have a good, strong base of hotels in the Netherlands, but also around the world. In Europe, we're growing quite strongly as well.
Cool. Do you expect that it will change in the coming 5 years? Will we see biometrics or fingerprints or anything like that?
Definitely. I think biometrics are already being used to some extent for authenticating payments. So, Apple Pay, you could use your face to authenticate that. I've seen some examples, very nice examples in the UK of a football club who is using, so it's a football club, they have a bar, and at halftime the bar gets really busy of people wanting to drink beer. Yep. So they've put in place a system where you tap your card on a terminal. It associates your token to your face, so using cameras that are on the ceiling, meaning that all the football supporters can just go and pick up as many beers as they want and go back to their seat. Removes the queue, creates a kind of a seamless experience. Very, very low touch, of course, but in that scenario, like you don't want to have a chat with the barman, right? If you just want a beer. And that's all using biometrics. So I think we're going to see more and more of these kind of experiences in hospitality as well.
Combined with other systems.
Yes, indeed.
What's the coolest journey you've seen for now?
Yeah, I mean, we do hear some hotels in Asia using biometrics to open hotel doors as well. They register your face online, so they automatically know who you are.
Because the regulation is easier there.
I don't know, to be honest, the regulations in Europe, and I think it's also a very personal thing. I'm not sure everyone would agree with giving away their face to be able to unlock doors, right? I think that's a personal choice.
Okay. Last question. Any advice for the hotels?
Yeah, I think, as I was saying before, map out your card data flow. Very important for the PCI compliance. Understand where your guests are coming from and what type of payment methods would they prefer to pay with, and understand the type of experience that your guests are looking for. Last, which is advice to the whole industry, we need to work together. I think as partners, as tech providers in this industry, we need to make hotels' lives easier, less complicated in the future. And I think that's part of our responsibility as well.
So, Henrietta, thank you for coming to the studio. Thank you for this great talk. For our viewers and listeners, I hope this was an inspiring session for you. Please subscribe to the podcast by clicking on the link. And remember, you can always check in, but never check out.